ES.
Yeah. At
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
At
NK, which is ENKAY.
NK.
Yeah, it is spelled ENKAY. .ca.
.ca. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Welcome, Mata. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Radhe Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. How's everyone doing?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dhanvat pranam.
Dhanvat pranam, Prabhuji.
Yeah. No.
Oh, Madhu Mataji, Hari Bol. I see Lata Mataji is there. I see Mary Mataji is there. Hari Bol, everyone.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Yeah, and our hero
Hare
is there.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Lata Mataji. How are you?
Fine.
I'm Sundari Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Good. And my Nandi Mukh is there as well. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prashu. Hare Krishna, Pitashri.
How are you?
I am just like you. Always you are good. We are good.
That's great. Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dhanvat pranam.
Dhanvat pranam. How are you?
I'm good, thank you Prabhu.
Good. And how's our star, Dilesh?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm doing wonderful, Prabhu. How are you?
Good, good, good. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, mother. Oh, Sonam is there as well. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna सबको.
Hare
आपको
Krishna.
भी, आपको भी.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I didn't see you. Sorry Prabhu.
Dhamata Mataji, how are you?
I'm doing good Prabhu. How are you?
Good, good, good.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, mother. How are
Hare
you?
Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And we are welcoming today Sneha. Our first time today. Welcome and Hare Krishna, Sneha.
Hare Krishna.
How are you?
I'm good, Prabhuji.
Good, good. She just moved from Vancouver to Toronto.
Wow.
Good, congratulations.
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Okay, and Vijay Prabhu's there. I was wondering what happened.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, how are you?
Dhanvat pranam Prabhuji.
And
Good.
Okay, so I'm going to put the Pranami mantra on. Any volunteers to chant that?
Chant Prabhu.
Okay, great. Yeah. You know, voices we heard you, so let me just share it. There you go. Vijayanandan Babu, go ahead.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Ghora Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
That was nicely done, Prabhu. Thank you. Very nice. Okay, so last week we started 10th canto. Any questions from last week before we go on to this week? Okay. So one thing is that I would request everyone to please mute yourself. If possible, put your video on, but mute yourself for sure. Because last week, for some reason, some people kept unmuting themselves even though I was muting, and there were a lot of background noises. So I really appreciate it if you can please keep yourself muted. Unless you have to speak, if you have to speak, that's fine, no issue. Okay.
So Prabhuji, I have a suggestion for that. If you can make someone a moderator, co-host, and that person can just mute everyone, because I see like accidentally someone like to unmute them. Like right now, it's also saw. So maybe some people are not that technical to handle that.
Yeah, that's possible. Also, I want to make sure everyone knows that if you mute yourself, you don't miss anything. You're still hearing and you're still seeing everything. The only difference is when you speak, no one can hear you. So when you want to speak, unmute yourself and then mute yourself back. So Prabhuji, that's a very good suggestion. And actually, a lot of times I take the person who makes the suggestion as the owner of the suggestion. So would you be okay if I made you the co-host? And
yeah,
would that be okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, that's okay. Yes.
All right. So let me see if I know how to do that. You may have to teach me how to do that.
Prabhu, you go to my name and then you should see an option to make co-host.
Oh, is that right? Okay. All right. That's easy. Oh yeah, there you go. Make co-host. Yes. There you go, Prabhu. You've been promoted.
Okay. Yes. Now I can see.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. All right. I really appreciate it.
Prabhuji, can I ask a question?
हाँ बोलो.
Prabhuji, जब last week you said that the first we talked about the anarthas and then the Guru Tattva appears and then Krishna appears. So according to that analogy, I wanted to understand how can anarthas be appeared before the appearance of Guru in our lives?
Well, anarthas are there when we are born. Guru is not there when we are born. So you're carrying these anarthas all our life.
No, I'm saying how can they be removed before the arrival of Guru?
Oh, I'm sorry, I misheard you.
No.
So yeah, so again, remember this is symbolic. Okay, so this is symbolic basically being that only after the anarthas were removed, that Krishna was ready, and then the Guru came to make this place, sanctified enough and ready to receive Lord Krishna. So if you take it too literally, it breaks down.
So in real life scenario, Guru accepts us with anarthas, right?
Correct. That is correct.
Some of us, I mean.
All of us. Let's face it. I mean, let's face it. We all have anarthas. Otherwise, we won't be here. So you all have anarthas, and it's the Guru who, again, Guru does not do this instantly. Even though we say Guru takes our karmas and all that, but there's a condition that if you follow all his instructions faithfully from that point on, then it works. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Okay?
I had taken it so literally. I was scared that till the time anarthas are not removed, I will not be accepted.
Correct. So if you do that, then it breaks down.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, all right. So let me, sorry, is anybody else? Any questions? Okay,
I did have a question, Prabhuji, but it goes back a few weeks. I just wondered what is the difference between Madonna Mohan Mohini and Mohini Murti? Like, I understand the former would be more Radharani and the latter would be Vishnu. I know they're different pastimes, but are they the same, or what is the difference?
So let me make sure I understood your question. Madan Mohan and Mohini Murti, those are the questions?
Yeah, Madan Mohan Mohini and Mohini Murti.
Oh, okay, sorry. Madan Mohan Mohini, as you correctly said, is the name given to Radharani because Krishna is Madan Mohan, the attractor or enchanter of the Cupid. And Mohini means the enchanter after Madan Mohan, that's Radharani. So yes, you are right in saying that. Mohini Murti is the name given to one particular incarnation of Lord Vishnu, who appeared during the time of the churning of the ocean to apparently to distribute the nectar among the demigods and the demons.
Yes, that's what I understood. But then what is the particular pastime of the former, of the Madan Mohan Mohini?
Madan Mohini is Radharani. So all the pastimes of Radharani are Madan Mohan Mohini pastimes.
Oh, all of her pastimes
All
are
of her
Mohini.
pastimes. Because
Oh,
she's
okay,
always
okay. Now I
enchanting.
understand.
There's no specific pastime, if that's your question.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. It's just the name given to her because she's always enchanting him.
Thank you so much. Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, all right. So let's move on then. And so today we are going to be doing our third chapter. And we'll try to do 4 chapters today. Actually 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 5 chapters today. I don't know if I'll succeed, but that's the goal. But I won't let the speed of the class, I won't let the goal of 5 chapters affect the speed of the class. We need to ask more questions. That's perfectly all right. Okay, so the third chapter is titled The Birth of Lord Krishna. And as we all know, I mean, there's a lot of stories, a lot of pastimes that we're going to discuss in the next few weeks, which we all have heard before. But just for that reason, I want to mention one point. And that is Maharaj Parikshit had, it happens twice. Maharaj Parikshit had asked a question about the childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna. And actually, I'm sorry, he was talking about Shukdev was talking about the killing of Putana, which is going to come very soon. And Maharaj Parikshit was hearing it so much intensity. And he was saying, what happened? Was he okay? Was Krishna okay after that? And Shukdev Goswami said, you've heard this pastime many times. Still, that's your reaction. So just imagine what is my reaction when I'm narrating it, what will happen. That's what, and I'm going to come back to what point I'm trying to make. And same thing happened, and my mind just went blank, in another pastime, and where Parikshit actually started shaking. Even though he had heard this pastime many times and he knew that so many pastimes happened after this, still. And so the point that I'm trying to make is that those of us who have the taste for the pastimes of Lord Krishna, we hear these pastimes as if we are hearing them for the first time. We can hear them 100,000 million times, but every time the taste is the same, as if it's something new. And so a lot of times we think, oh, I've heard this pastime so many times, why are you bothering with this? So point I'm making is that we need to develop that desire to endlessly hear the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and then every time it would be like first time. So let's try to get in that mood, so then we can enjoy these pastimes a little bit more, even though we have heard them a million times each. Okay, so that's the point I was trying to make. Anyway, so let's go on with that. So we all know that Lord Krishna actually first appeared in Mathura, actually in the jail cell where Vasudeva and Devaki had been imprisoned by Devaki's brother Kamsa. And he appeared, Actually, Lord Vishnu appeared in his 400 form. And the reason was that Lord Vishnu understood that both Devaki and Vasudeva are very scared of Kamsa. And they're really going to be worried about their son because Kamsa has declared that as soon as the son is born, he's going to kill him. So he wanted to assure Vasudeva and Devaki that, look, this is no ordinary son. It's me, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of God. So that's the reason why he appeared that way. So when Vasudeva saw the newborn child, and he noticed all these wonderful lotus-like eyes, who's bearing the four weapons, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma, which is conch shell, disc, mace, and the lotus flower in his four hands. And all the marks of the Lord, like on his chest, what's the mark on Lord's chest? On his chest. Anybody?
Shrivatsam, Prabhu.
Shivats, yes, absolutely. Shivatsareka, which is a line of gray or white hair representing Mother Lakshmi. So he has that, and he had a beautiful necklace of brilliant gem known as Kaustubha. Yes, very good. Thank you. He was dressed in what color? Clothes?
Yellow garment.
Yellow, absolutely, yellow. And his body was dark, dense cloud, the color of that. His hair was fully grown, not like ordinary kids. His helmet and earrings were sparkling like anything, and actually there's a gem called Vadurya. So they were all made of that. And as a child, the Lord was, decorated with the belt, armlets, bangles, other ornaments, just an amazing, amazing scene. Nobody has ever seen a newborn baby looking like that. I mean, you don't come out of stomach with all this. So Vasudeva was absolutely amazed. Like, what is this? But then he said, oh, this is Lord Vishnu. So therefore, he became so happy. And Bhagavatam says his happiness was transcendental. And Mother Devaki also, of course, was feeling the same sentiments. And they both gave 10,000 cows in charity to the Brahmanas, just mentally, which means that they basically promised to give them physically once they're out of the prison. Anyway, so now Vasudeva and Devaki were convinced that, yes, my son, or our son, I should say, is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, or Lord Vishnu, and they became fearless. So they both bowed down with folded hands, and first Vasudeva started to offer his prayers. And basically, he said, my dear Lord, you're the Supreme Person, you're the Parabrahm, you're the Super Soul, you're beyond duality, and you're all pervading. He said, for you, there's no internal and there's no external. Basically, what he was trying to say was that, my dear Lord, you never entered the womb of Devaki. Rather, you existed there already. So it's not that you traveled from somewhere and entered it and now you come out. No, you were there. Now you manifested yourself outside. You're the cause of all causes. You're beyond material existence. All those kind of things. You are the creator of the material world, but you are aloof from the material world. All those kind of things. You're always transcendentally situated, on and on and on, like very long prayers. He offered those prayers. Excuse me. And then he concluded his prayers by that for the sake of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, you appear as what Gunavatars? Anybody? No. What Gunavatar does Krishna appear as for creation, maintenance, and annihilation?
He appears as a Shivji, Vishnu, and Brahma.
Very good.
Brahma,
Brahma,
Vishnu,
Vishnu. Yes,
Prabhu.
very good. Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. So he said all that. Then Devaki offered her prayers, and she described the Lord as transcendental. And but she was still feeling some fear of Kansa, and she was hoping that no non-devotee, no demon will know that this is the Lord. So she prayed to the Lord that please withdraw this four-armed form and become like an ordinary child with two hands so that I can hide you somewhere. Now, this is the love of the mother, where she's seeing the Lord is there. She knows the Lord is most powerful. She knows Lord can easily kill Kamsa. But she's still afraid for him because now he is her baby. What a wonderful motherly feeling. So she said, please become a regular baby, two-armed baby, so I'll hide you somewhere. That we should go to hide from Kamsa. But that's the mother's mood. I'll hide you so that you'll not meet any harm. Anyway, she also had a big concern. She said, if I tell people I gave birth to a baby who had 4 arms, was fully dressed, and was wearing a helmet and everything, nobody would believe her. So she said, please become like a normal, ordinary child, so at least people will believe me and not ridicule. Same thing you may recall from the appearance of Lord Ram. Mother Kaushalya had the same prayer. Something like Tatahutati Yarupa, please give up this form of 400 form and become like a regular baby so I can pick you up and I can offer you all my love and everything. Anyway, so the Lord then spoke and he reminded them being Vasudeva and Devaki, that this is not the first time I have appeared as your child. So anybody knows what he was referring to?
Vamana avatar and Krishna Garban Prabhu?
Yes. So he said that you were at one time King Sutapa and wife Krishna, and you performed austerities for 12,000 years. And when I appeared, you said you wanted to have a son like me. And I said yes, and then I was thinking that there is no one like me. So what do I do now? I've already given a promise. So he said, when you are not able to meet exactly the promise you have made, then he gave the person who asked 3 times what they asked. So therefore, I have come to you, to your son, or as your son, 3 times. First time, when you were Sutapa and Prishni, I came as, and I became known as Prishnigan, the child who was in the womb of Krishna. Second time, I came as Vaman Avatar, Vaman Dev, and you were as, who knows the name of the parents?
Kashyapa and Aditi.
Kashyapa and Aditi, yes. And now, third time, I've appeared as your son again, when you are Vasudeva and Devaki. So, it was basically trying to give him assurance that, look, this is normal for me, don't worry about it, I'll take care of you. And also, that I have fulfilled your desire, that's the other reason why I'm appearing. And then after saying that, the Lord assumed the normal baby form. And then he instructed his father, Vasudeva, to transfer him to the house of Nanda Maharaj. So where was Nanda Maharaj living at that time? Yeah, my wife is saying Mahavan. That's a correct answer, which is in a place called Gokul. Okay, so when the Lord said that, of course, Yog Maya is always working with him. So by the influence of Yog Maya, all the doorkeepers, they fell fast asleep. And everybody else in the jail, in the house, the palace of Kamsa, and the city, the town of Mathura, everybody fell asleep, very fast asleep. And all these doors which were closed, they were locked, strongly locked with, iron and iron chains, and they all opened automatically. And it started to rain. And I was told that one of the reasons why it started to rain at that time was that just in case somebody decides to take a walk outside their house and sees Vasudeva carrying the child, will eliminate that possibility, because if it's raining, nobody will come out. So that's one of the reasons why it was happening. And the second reason was that Indra also wanted to offer some service. So that was his service, which gave Sheshna Lord Anantadev an opportunity to also offer his service because it was raining. So he followed Vasudev right from the door of the jail and with his hood made an umbrella above the Lord and Vasudev. So as Vasudev was walking towards Yamuna, Anantanag or Anantashesh was following him, protecting him from the rain. Now, because it was raining, the Yamuna river was also almost flooded. So deep water and strong current, water foaming, like anything, fiercely whirling waves, all those kind of things. But as soon as Vasudev appeared at the bank of Yamuna, it parted and gave way to Vasudev and Krishna to cross. Now, there's a side story. It's not in Bhagavatam, so I don't know if it's authentic, but many places have said that, that after it gave way to Vasudev, halfway through, the water started to come back. And the level started going up above his waist, above his chest, above his chin. And Vasudev kept raising the basket that he was carrying Krishna in, but the water kept coming up. The level kept going up. And it was basically his nose, his eyes, and Krishna realized what's going on. So he put his feet down below the basket. Yamuna touched the feet and receded completely. So I don't know how authentic it is, but it's a very popular version that goes on. It's not in Bhagavatam. Anyway, so Vasudeva crossed the river and finally he reached the house of Nanda Maharaj. And he noticed that again, by the influence of Yogamaya, everybody in the whole town, whole village, I should say, of Mahavan was asleep. So he went inside, nobody checked him, everybody was sleeping. And he went right to the room where Yashoda had delivered. And he saw the girl sitting there, lying there. He picked her up and put Krishna down on the bed. Now this girl we know was an expansion of Yogamaya herself. And having picked up the girl and put Krishna there on the bed, Vasudeva returned to the prison and placed the child, the girl, the baby girl, on the bed of Devaki. And he, with his own hands, bound his legs with the iron shackles that he had and sat down as if nothing had happened. Now, I should point out that at the very time that Lord Krishna decided to leave the prison house of Kansa, he had instructed Yogamaya to take birth as the daughter of Yashoda. So Yogamaya had appeared as the daughter of Yashoda, but she did not come alone. Krishna came with her. So actually, Krishna and Yogamaya appeared together. So there's a reference to Krishna as Yogamaya Agraj, which means the brother of Yogamaya, which means basically that they were born as brother and sister at the same time. Anyway, so the other thing was the arrangement of Yogamaya. When Vasudeva went into the room, he did not see the other Krishna. He only saw a baby girl, Yogamaya. So he picked her up, put Krishna down, his Krishna down, without seeing the other Krishna that was born to Mother Yashoda. And anyway, so he exchanged the babies and he left, as I said, went back to his own place. And whereas in the Gokul, in Mahavan, I should say, Mother Yashoda was so exhausted by the childbirth that she didn't know that she had a girl or a boy, or a girl and a boy. She had no idea. She was just passed out. Anyway, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains this, and that's the purport by Srila Prabhupada, that Krishna appeared simultaneously as the son of Devaki and son of Yashoda. And with Yashoda, along with Krishna appeared Yogamaya, his internal potency or his spiritual energy, as his sister. So as son of Devaki, he was Vishnu. And the reason was that Vasudeva was not in the position of pure affection for Krishna. His affection was mixed with the knowledge that this is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so basically Vasudeva worshipped, after all this prayers I was talking about, as Lord Vishnu. Yashoda, however, had no idea this is Supreme Personality of God. No idea, no understanding, no thought. So therefore, she always treated Krishna as her baby, her lalla. And that's the major difference between excuse me, the moods of Yashoda and Devaki. And one is Krishna, one born to Yashoda, and it's Vasudeva Krishna or Lord Vishnu born to Devaki. Now, let's discuss one more point here. We know from our discussion before that Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva are related. What's the relationship between them? Anyone? What is the relationship between Vasudeva and Krishna? And Nanda Maharaj? They are cousins, but they're not just cousins.
Step brothers.
Step brothers, yes. They're step cousins. Correct. So, but they're also very, very close friends. And I don't know if you knew that Yashoda and Devaki were also very close friends. As a matter of fact, Yashoda's original name was Devaki. Also, I should say. Because Devaki was Devaki, but Yashoda was also named Devaki. And they were like practically non-different in terms of their personality and habits and tastes and all those kind of things. The only difference is that I was mentioning before, Devaki was able to understand that my son is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Yashoda never understood that. She never understood that Krishna is Supreme Personality of God. Because she was such an advanced devotee that she would not recognize the godhood of Krishna. And as you know, we'll later on talk about Damodar Leela and all that, because she couldn't do that if she thought it was Supreme Personality of God. Okay, anyway. Not just Yashoda, but no one in Vrindavan regarded Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as we'll see as the weeks go by and we do all the pastimes of Krishna, whenever something wonderful happened, or whenever something Krishna did that was wonderful, then all the residents of Vrindavan, the cowherd men, the boys, and Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, and all these people who lived there were surprised. Surprised, yes, but they never for a moment thought that this boy Krishna could be the God, could be the Supreme Personality of God. Sometimes they would think that, oh, maybe it's a demigod appeared as our son, but nothing beyond that. And that was the exalted status of devotional service. Because in that exalted devotion, the devotee simply forgets that Krishna is God. And the devotee forgets because his or her love for Krishna is so intense, so strong. There's no room for awe and reverence. There's no room for it. So therefore, when Krishna kills big Aghasur or lifts the Govardhan hill, there's poo-poo it. There's nothing. There's nothing, And we'll talk later on how Madhumangal was saying, it was the power of my austerities as a Brahmin. Other boys were saying, if we had not put our sticks up, the hill would have fallen. Things like that. Never giving credit, full credit to Krishna. And that is the difference in pure love of Krishna, where you do not recognize God as God. And the devotional service mixed with awe and reverence, where you recognize it's God, therefore the formality is there. You don't take the kind of liberties that the residents of Vrindavan were able to take with Krishna. And that's the big difference between Kevala Bhakti, which is pure devotional service, not knowing Krishna is God, and Gyan or Gyan Mishra Bhakti, which is devotional service mixed with knowledge. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. That's the end of the third chapter, Killing of Putana. Any questions or comments before we move on?
Yeah, Prabhu, I have one question. So Prabhu, you mentioned that the residents of Vrindavan and Mother Yashoda never looked at Krishna as God, whereas Mother Devaki knew all along that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So is this a different kind of rasa, or is this like, what is it like on one side we said that they are the most elevated devotees, the Vrindavan devotees who don't look at Krishna with awe and reverence and as God. So first of all, what is the right understanding? Like, how do you do the comparison? Was Mother Yashoda less elevated than was Mother Devaki less elevated than Mother Yashoda? Or like, how do you look at this? And also, like, as practicing devotees, what should be our aspiration?
Our what?
Aspiration, like what we should be aspiring for.
Oh, aspiration, sorry, okay. Yes, Prabhu. So excellent question. So first of all, there are different types of devotional service. One of which is where you're serving the Lord in the mood of awe and reverence because you recognize the Lord as the Lord. Therefore, the formality is there. And all the incarnations of Lord Krishna, without exception, they are served by their devotees in mood of awe and reverence. Like, can you ever imagine somebody going to Lord and sitting there saying, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" But all sorts of people said that to Krishna, right? Can you imagine somebody climbing on the top of Lord Ram's shoulders? Even when he had people who were in the fraternal mellows, the friendship, even they, when they hugged Lord Ram, first they waited to be hugged, first thing. Second was a very formal, very, kind of not scared, but careful hug. No squeezing, no kissing on the cheek, nothing. It's like a very formal hug, because that's the mood they have. On the other hand, when the devotee does not recognize Krishna to be God, then the devotee feels superior or better than Krishna himself. That's why Mother Yashoda would be able to chastise him. That's why Nanda Maharaj will order Krishna to bring his sandals, and Krishna will put them on his head, bring it. That's why the cowherd friends will order Krishna to do this or that. They'll make demands on him. They'll make fun of him. They'll mock him because that feeling wasn't there, right? So yes, it is a higher level. And Krishna says, as you probably, if you've read the talks between Srila Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya, he talks a great deal about that. Actually, on Wednesday, we're discussing those talks. And so it's fresh in my mind. And basically he goes, starts with Shantaras, then, the servitorship, and then friendship, and then parental, and then conjugal, successively higher. And in conjugal, it goes higher when it talks about Radharani versus the gopis. So yes, it is higher level of devotional service. It's a different mood. Don't get me wrong. It's not that one is bad and that's good. It's not that. It's just higher level of ecstasy, higher level of relationship, higher mellow. And Krishna says that the reason I come once every 8.6 billion years to the material world is because I want to spend time with my pure devotees who don't know I'm God. Because that's when I enjoy. As soon as they know I'm God, a formality is introduced, and therefore the loving feeling is slackened. It's not the same. He said, I don't enjoy that. I'll come as Ram and have it. But as Krishna, I need to enjoy. So for Krishna, sweetness is more important than godness. Okay, did I answer your question?
Yeah. So, but Prabhu, one more follow up.
Sure.
So, like but what is their mindset when the residents of Vrindavan, especially the gopis, like their topmost desire is pleasure of Krishna? Like they're always doing things around like pleasing Krishna. But so are they not looking at Krishna as God then? Like what is the
No.
what is the driving force there?
So yeah, so driving force is love. Love, by the way, what is the definition of love? Love basically means you want to serve the other person for his pleasure. That's the definition of love. Everything else is lust. So very simple, simplified definition, basic level is love is an act of service to the other person for his or her pleasure. And there's absolute no desire, not even a trace of desire for personal satisfaction. That devoted satisfaction and pleasure comes from giving pleasure to Krishna. And nobody did it as well as the gopis did because they gave up everything else. Like Krishna talks about Sardhaman Parityacha. These girls, they gave up their family. They gave up their husbands, their children, their in-laws. They gave up their reputation. Whatever they were doing, whether cooking or milking or massaging mother-in-law's feet or whatever, just left and ran in the middle of the night. If you don't care if people call us sluts, we're here for you. So nobody else can do that. That's what is highest. Radharani is still higher for other reasons because her level of surrender was so much higher than even the gopis. Nobody can catch that. But the idea is the same. So the driving force, as you asked, the impetus was to serve Krishna for his pleasure. Now, it doesn't matter what mellow you are in. There's neutrality, servitorship, friendship, paternal. Paternal, is that the right word? Paternal means father, mother also. So what's the word? Vatsalya, what's the translation? Anybody?
Maternal and paternal?
Okay, so two words. Okay, I thought maybe there's one word. Anyway, so paternal and maternal. And then, of course, in conjugal. Right? In all those mellows, you're still serving Krishna. Because as I said, love cannot be there without service. Love without service has no meaning. It's like saying, I love you, honey, but don't ever call me. It doesn't work. Right? So gopis were doing that better and in more surrendered mood than anybody else. That's why theirs is highest. So I don't know if I'm answering your question or not. You can be frank and say no and rephrase the question.
Prabhu, this is very helpful. But last follow-up, sorry, I'm taking up time. So can we say that the Radharani and gopis were in conjugal love? Mother Yashoda was in parental love, parental love. What was Mother Devaki?
Parental.
But how did Mother Devaki knew that Krishna was God, but Mother Yashoda didn't?
It's because Lord Krishna appeared first as God, as Vishnu 400 form.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so made it very clear, I'm God. And the reason was he wanted to make sure she gives up her fear. But then for the rest of her life, she knows that.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Prabhuji?
Prabhu? Oh. Prabhu, sorry, Prabhu, what was the relationship between Nanda Baba and Vasudeva?
They were step cousins. So basically, their grandfather had married, his name was Dev Mew, had two wives. One was Kshatriya wife and one was Vaishya wife. So Kshatriya wife, he had a son whose name was Shursen. With Vaishya wife, he had a son named Parjanya. Shursen had many sons, one of them was Vasudeva. And Parjanya had 5 sons. One of them was Nanda Maharaj. So that's the relationship. That's why they're step cousins.
Okay. And Prabhu, one more, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure.
One more is just like how Devaki and Vasudev did penances for 3 births and they got Lord Krishna. Is there any pastime for Nanda Baba and Yashoda? How is it that they were so involved in the devotional service than though Mother Devaki was the original mother? How come they got to enjoy more of Lord Krishna than the original mother? Prabhu?
Yes.
Is there a pastime for them?
Yes. So in their previous life, they were king and queen, but the name was Drona and Dhara. They also performed severe austerities. And when the Lord appeared, they said, we want to have you as our son so we can enjoy your childhood pastimes. That's the benediction they asked for. So therefore, they got to enjoy the childhood pastimes until the age of 10 years and 8 months. And for the rest of their life, they missed Krishna and cried. Now, I should also point out that both Devaki, Vasudeva, Yashoda, and Nanda Maharaj, they are eternal devotees. They're eternal parents of Krishna. So when I talk about previous birth and all those kind of things, that's just like somebody else doing this, and they get to temporarily occupy the same body. So in other sense, in other words, in this pastime, both Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya, they had 2 souls in their body. One their own, the eternal servants, and one of Dhara and Dhruv. Okay, now don't ask me how 2 souls get into one body because I won't be able to answer that. But that's a confirmed and accurate response. Same thing with Vasudeva and Devaki. They're also eternal parents in a different mood, but they're eternal parents. So there were 2 souls there as well. Okay?
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Sure. Ha, Sonam, bolo.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Oh, Sonam, Mataji.
Prabhuji, on the same lines, like when like Yashoda Maya and Nand Maharaj and Devaki and Vasudeva, they all had done their activities according to, so that the Krishna will be their son, right, in past lives. And then is it that they also suffered, like when Krishna left Vrindavan and Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Maya suffered and Devaki and Vasudeva suffered before that till Krishna met them and went to Dwarika. So I just want to understand, it is like they actually suffered or it never happens because Krishna is always doing the Leela and everything? Because when suffering is there, it means some karmas are there, right?
Well, it's okay. So, you asked 2 very good questions. So I'm going to distinguish the 2 so that everybody understands what 2 questions are there. So one question is, did they miss? And the second question is, did they feel pain? Because, as you said, Krishna never left Vrindavan. So, it is true that Lord Krishna never left Vrindavan. He never leaves Vrindavan. He's still there. But his pastimes become unmanifest. He also becomes unmanifest. So he's there, but he's not there. Now, the mood of separation in Sanskrit is called vipralambha. That mood of separation, when it happens in the material world, in material relationships, it causes a lot of pain. And the reason it causes a lot of pain is that the person you are missing is not in your heart. He's outside or she's outside. So there's a vacuum when they're not there together physically, then you feel that vacuum. On the contrary, when the separation happens in the spiritual world, then the same separation becomes the cause for greater pleasure. Why? Because Krishna is in your heart. So when you start missing Krishna, but Krishna is in your heart, and it gives you even more pleasure. So you're missing him, but you're getting the pleasure of Krishna in your heart. So therefore, actually, Vipralambha Bhav is considered greater level of emotion than what's known Sambhog Bhav. We are physically together. So yes, the major reason actually for Krishna leaving all the residents of Vrindavan was to increase their love for Krishna in their heart. Now, did they feel the pain? I said no, but there were manifestations of pain. So for example, when Lord Krishna sent Uddhava to Vrindavan, he said, please also meet my parents. And Uddhav said, how would I know where they live? How will I find your house? And do you know what the answer was? Lord Krishna said, you walk around the streets of our village, and wherever you see rainfall or streams or river coming out of the house, you know that's the house. So Uddhav was surprised. What do you mean? Is there a flood in your house? The pipe is broken. What happened? He said, no, those are the tears of my parents. Streams of river coming out of the house. So yeah, the pain was there, but it's not the pain that you and I talk about. It's not the pain that you and I experience. It was transcendental pain, which is actually pleasure.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thanks, Prabhuji.
You're welcome.
Prabhuji?
Haji?
Prabhuji, my question was when Prabhu had earlier asked. Haji?
Was मैंने खत्म हो गया कि और is?
Sorry, my question is अभी जब भी प्रभु जी ने question पूछा and you said that Mother Devaki knew that Mother Devaki saw Krishna in the four-handed form, and then for rest of the life she knew that he was Vishnu. He was the Vishnu avatar. Krishna also showed the universal form to Mother Yashoda, but Krishna made Yogamaya made Yashoda Maya forget that. Then why did not Krishna why did he not do the same thing with Mother Devaki?
Yeah, it's a different mellow. He wanted to have different pastime, different mellow, different level, right? And especially to contrast the two. If you did the same thing, then there's no contrast. So at the very high level, still there's a contrast. So the pastime when Krishna finally went to Mathura, both Vasudeva and Devaki ran to meet him. But halfway through they stopped. And they remember, oh, wait a minute, this is God. We can't just run and hug him. So they start offering their obeisances. And then Krishna said, no. If you do that, then we cannot have the son-parents relationship. And they said, okay,
so
fine.
Prabhuji, how does Krishna chooses that, how does he want to reciprocate with certain, so he has chosen that he wants to reciprocate with Mother Yashoda this way and Mother Devaki this way. So how does it happen? Based on some previous life?
These are eternal. No, there's no previous life. Remember, these are eternal servants. There's no previous life here. So Krishna picks, he decides, and he chooses one or another. So he has to have both, right? So, he picks one. They're both very highly elevated. They're both pure. They're both very dear to Krishna. So don't think that, oh, Krishna loves him less, Krishna loves them more. No, it's nothing like that.
So basically, invalid question. He does what he wants.
No, it's not. No, it's a very good question because you need to understand these things. Right?
So the answer is it's as per his sweet will. Right?
It's like the question, why is Krishna blue? Why is he not? I don't know. He chose that.
Right.
So, it's just that. Okay.
One of those questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So let's move on to the next chapter then, chapter 4, which is.
Can I just ask one quick question about Devaki?
Mani Mataji, please go ahead.
Okay, I just wondered. She strikes me as being so very exalted and transcendental. So she was just. I don't want to speculate, but was she just playing the role of being afraid?
Playing the role of
being afraid.
Afraid. Oh, no, Mataji. Actually, neither the residents of Vrindavan, including Yashoda Maiya and Nanda Maharaj, nor Devaki and Vasudev were faking it or acting. This was the effect of Yoga Maya, whatever you want to call it, on them. So they thought this is their real situation. So everybody was acting as if it was real situation. Mind you, the script was written by Krishna, directed by Krishna, all those kind of things. But everyone is playing their part. When they're playing their part, it's like they're actually there, feeling those feelings, not faking it. As a matter of fact, I remember reading an interview of a very famous film actress, a Bollywood actress, and like she's known as one of the best ever actresses in Bollywood. And she said, basically, I have to put myself in the persona of the person I'm acting. And when I'm doing that, I am not me. I'm that person. I think like her, I talk like her, I act like her, all those kind of things. And she said, I just forget that I have a different personality. I'm a different person. So same thing. These people don't know that they're acting. They're simply acting according to the script, but in their mind, they're being real. The fear was real. Okay. So did I answer your question?
Yes, but I guess I look at it from another perspective. I completely agree with what you're saying. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess at some point I think of them as being so exalted and transcendental at one level to that fear. Although yes, absolutely, they are consumed with that fear because that is the role that they are being directed to play out for Krishna's pastime to come to full fruition, I guess, for lack of a better word.
So actually, that fear is not limited to Devaki. Yashoda had a lot of fear too. I don't know if you were there when I was talking about some of Krishna's pastimes about, I don't know, 6 months ago. When Krishna went to the forest first time to take care of the calves, Mother Yashoda was not going to let him go. It was a real struggle of the residents of Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj, to convince her to let him go. She was too scared. And then finally, when she agreed, she told Balaram, you are the older brother, you take care of it. And then, when Krishna left, he had hardly gone maybe 100 yards. She came running after him. And he said, why are you here? You know, you're embarrassing me in front of my friends. So please go home. She said, no. I just forgot to comb your hair. So I just want to comb your hair. And he said, you combed my hair 10 times already this morning. So she said, oh, okay, I forgot. She went back. Literally 2 minutes later, she came back running. And Krishna said, now what? She said, I forgot to give you the tiffin carrier, which is the part that you take to when you're going home, going to work or something for your food. She said, your breakfast. And he said, you've given me breakfast 5 times already this morning. You know, and here's the box that you gave me. So please go home. So she went back. And she kept finding one or the other excuse because she was so afraid for him. And every time a demon attacked, which happened every day, by the way, she would pray to Lord Narayan. She'll do all sorts of puja and mantras and, you know, the kavachas and the threads to tie around his body, all that because of the fear. So this is the fear of the mother. Again, they're all being natural. Scripted by Krishna, yes, but we are all scripted by Krishna. So am I hitting the point or not, Mother?
Yes, I thank you ever so much. I guess I wonder sometimes when they call it place of no anxiety.
Oh, but that's Vaikuntha, that's different. They're in the material world. It's the place of anxiety.
Okay, yeah.
So even Krishna has, you know, problems. He has miseries. He's Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like Lord Ram has problems. Lord Chaitanya has problems in the material world because that's the nature of the material world.
Oh yes, no, and I'm very clear on that. Thank you ever so much.
Sure, no worries. Okay. So next chapter talks about the atrocities of Kamsa. So let's go back. Vasudeva has taken the female child from Yashoda's house. Has gone back to the prison cell. He's put his iron shackles just as before, and the doors are, have closed and locked just like they were before. Now Yoga Maya, the baby girl, starts to cry. As soon as she cries, all the doorkeepers wake up, and they run to Kansa. Because that was the order. As soon as you hear the baby cry, you come. So they run to Kansa and say, my dear sir, a baby has been born to Devaki. As soon as Kansa heard that, he was sleeping actually. He was woken up from the bed. He got up from the bed, picked up his sword, and he said to himself, this is Kal, the supreme time factor. Now it has taken birth to kill me. And he was feeling totally overwhelmed, scared like you wouldn't believe, sword in his hand, hair scattered all over. He rushed into the maternity room, the room where Devaki was there. And no matter how much Devaki pled, is that the right word? Pleaded or pled? Pled. Anybody? What's the right word? Past tense of plead.
Pleaded.
Pleaded?
No, pled, Prabhu.
Oh, pled.
I think
Okay.
it's pled.
Okay, pled. Either way. Pled, no matter how much she did that. And she kept saying, my dear brother, this is a girl. This is a baby girl. You have no risk, no danger. The girl, the prophecy said, a boy, a son. This is a girl. Why do you need to kill her? You know what? When she grows up, I'll marry her to one of your sons. So think of her as your own daughter, daughter-in-law, whatever. Don't kill her. But Kansa was not going to listen. I mean, he was so cruel, so scared actually, that he forcibly snatched the baby from Devaki's hands and held her by the legs and dashed against a rock that was there. Well, Kansa can plan to do whatever he wants. Krishna has different plans. So unfortunately for him, the child slipped away from his hands, rose above his head in the sky, and appeared as 8-armed form of Durga. And then she spoke. She told Kansa, you fool Kansa, the enemy that you contemplate on all this time, and who will certainly kill you, has already taken birth somewhere else. So don't unnecessarily kill other children. You're not going to get anything from that. And she disappeared from there, but she appears in 8 different places in India where she's celebrated by different names. I don't know all the names, but I can tell you a few. Like in Kolkata, she's known as Durga. In Mumbai, she's known as Mumbai Devi. Oh, sorry, Mumba Devi. Anybody from Mumbai knows?
Mumba Devi, yeah.
Mumba Devi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mumba Devi. In Varanasi, she's known as Annapurna. In Cuttack, in south, it's called Bhadrakali. And Ahmedabad, confirm for me, Prabhu, she's known as Bhadra. Bhadra Krishna Prabhu, do you?
I don't know exactly.
Okay, anyway, I think it's Bhadra. Anyway, my point is, in different places she appears and she has a different name. Now, let's understand something. Who's Durga? Which potency of Krishna is Durga?
She's sister and she's...
No, which potency of Krishna is Durga?
Mahamaya?
Yeah, which potency? External potency?
External.
External potency.
External.
Yes, she's the external potency. Which potency in that context is Yogamaya?
Internal.
Internal. So who did Vasudeva pick up? Internal potency or external potency?
External potency.
Internal.
Internal.
Internal potency, Yogamaya.
Yeah,
He
internal.
picked up. When it crossed the boundary into Mathura,
Then it changes into that.
Yogamaya changes into Mahamaya, the external potency. Why? Number of reasons. One is a demon like Kansa cannot touch Yogamaya. Simply cannot touch. He can touch Mahamaya, no problem. He's in Mahamaya anyway. So she turned into Mahamaya. Second reason is Kansa would listen to Durga because demons listen to Shakti. But they don't listen to internal potency of Krishna. They can't relate with that. So she turned into Durga, and whatever word she said, as we'll see in a minute, he just absolutely believed her. Absolutely, completely believed her. No questions asked. Okay? So now, is Mahamaya different from Yogamaya?
No.
No, but question, you all know it's external and internal. But is she different from Yoga?
No, Prabhuji.
They are same, but only they have a different job, I think.
So they are different and non-different at the same time. Mahamaya is actually shadow of Yogamaya. Her responsibility, as Mataji said, is to manage the material world. And exactly opposite of Yogamaya, to repel people or living entities away from Krishna. And to cover the knowledge of the living entity as to their identity and as their relationship with Krishna and the identity of Krishna. On the other hand, Yogamaya attracts living entity to Krishna and reveals the identity of living entity and identity of Krishna and the relationship between Krishna and living entity. So their actions are totally opposite. But they're basically one and the same. One is the shadow of the other. They're both potencies of Krishna. They're both pure devotees. They're both following the orders of Krishna. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah,
Sneha, make sense?
perfect sense.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, you just came on the screen, so I just asked you. Okay, all right. Okay, let's move on then. Okay, so now she has spoken. So when Kansa heard this baby child of Durga speak that the 8th child who's prophesied to be the killer of Kansa has already taken some birth somewhere else, and this was the female child, he said, "Oh my God, what have I done? What have I done?" So in genuine regret, he decided to release Devaki and Vasudeva from the prison. And he went and actually admitted to them how wrong he was to have performed so many atrocities, to have treated them like that. And he actually fell at the lotus feet of Mother Devaki and Vasudeva. And he begged, literally begged for their pardon. And then he tried to convince them that, look, it's not my fault because everything that happened was destined to be happen. So simply being an instrument of the destiny. So please don't be unhappy with me just because I've killed 6 of your children. And then he started preach philosophy. I mean, demons do that. Demons are so well versed in philosophy. Their application is wrong, but they know the philosophy. So he said, preach them. And he said, you know, my dear sister, my brother-in-law, in this world, we can see that pots, dolls, and other products, that are made of earth, they appear in a certain form, then they break, and then they disappear. They mix back with the earth. Similarly, my dear sister and brother-in-law, the bodies of all us conditioned souls are formed and annihilated. But the living entity, the soul, just like the earth, is unchanging, is never annihilated. I was thinking, from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 20. Anyway, so he said, my dear sister Devaki, even though your sons have unfortunately been killed by me, please don't lament for them, because everyone enjoys and suffers the results of their karma. So it was your karma that your children died. But he again fell at her feet, actually their feet, I should say. And really, his eyes were full of tears, and he was really feeling the regret in his heart. And he genuinely, sincerely apologized to them and begged them to forgive him for all that he did. all the atrocities that he did. Now, how did Devaki and Vasudeva react? They were what you call the real pious, gentle souls. So they actually immediately forgave Kansa for all that he did. And Kansa, when he saw that his sister and brother-in-law were actually calm and almost happy, he let them go to their house and he went back to his house. Well, and the night passed. However, in the morning, Kansa had this meeting with his ministers, who were all demoniac people. And he informed them everything that happened at night. But these demon or demoniac ministers, I should say, they advised Kansa, what do you think you're doing? I mean, the enemy has already taken birth somewhere else. So therefore, you should kill every child that's born in our neighborhood in the past 10 days. Don't take any chances. I said neighborhood. I should have said anywhere in your kingdom, because who knows where the child is born. And we know that demigods are scared of you. They run in fear when they see you. But still, don't treat them leniently, because they're still your enemies. And they may have taken birth in the guise of some small child. So kill. Just uproot their existence completely. And they said, do not give up your enmity towards Vishnu. Continue. Because Vishnu is the foundation of all the demigods. So you let him go, demigods will become strong again. So best is to kill him. And how best to kill him? Make him weak. How best to make him weak? Stop any worships, any fire sacrifices that Brahmanas are doing. Start killing cows. Stop people from reading the Vedas. As long as those three things are happening, Vishnu will remain strong. So stop all this. And persecute the Brahmanas, the demigods, and the cows, and any devotees or looks like devotees. Just persecute them all. And they convinced Kansa, because the association makes so much difference. So Kansa said, all right, that's what I'm going to do. And he basically issued instructions to all his soldiers, his demoniac friends. You go start persecuting the Brahmanas, the cows, and the devotees, and all these people. And all over the kingdom of Kansa, these atrocities started, like really bad. Right? That ended this small chapter, chapter 4. Next chapter was titled when Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva met. But before I go there, any questions or comments?
Prabhu, I just have one question. So the pastimes of like Aghasur, Trinavarta, all these demons, killing of these demons, pastimes that happen in the material world when Krishna was there, do those pastimes also happen in the spiritual world?
No, there's no enmity, there's no envy, there's no killing in the spiritual world. Now, just for the completion of the answer, some demons do live there, but they live there as devotees. So for example, Putana lives in Vrindavan in a position of a nurse or mother. Okay,
but there is
talk about that very shortly. Aghasur was another demon who also lived there. So they live there, but not as demons.
So none of the anarthas, there's no trace of those anarthas in the spiritual
Cannot be.
world.
It's the spiritual world, cannot be. Otherwise, it won't be spiritual world anymore.
Right.
Can you imagine two Vishnudutas starting to fight? Can you imagine?
But don't we say like on a transcendental level, competition is good? That
No,
the
that's
way
a totally
gopis
different point. There's no envy. There's no anartha. Transcendental envy, for example, is not an anartha. It's an artha.
Right.
Transcendental envy means how do I do more, not how you do less.
Yes. It's a positive one, not
It's positive. How do I raise myself as opposed to pulling somebody down?
Yes. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Sure. Anyone else?
Yes, I just wanted to qualify my earlier question. I thought, like, I understood that what we were discussing before was happening in the spiritual world, but I was also wondering about the occasion when the gopis in the spiritual world saw demons. I'm just wondering if you could clarify that.
So there is no demon acting as a demon in the spiritual world. So all these pastimes you're talking about are happening here in the material world. All these pastimes you're talking about today or before, they're all happening here. We're not talking about pastimes in the spiritual world. So I'm glad you asked, because that's a very important thing to remember. But a lot of things otherwise will not make any sense.
Yeah, thanks so much for further clarifying that, because I remember there's this drawing or picture about the gopis fleeing here and there because there were demons in the forest. And I thought, I guess when I saw the picture, I thought, well, are they talking about the spiritual world? And in that moment, it didn't make sense to me, because I thought that spiritual world was a place of no anxiety.
Correct.
So thank you very much.
Sure. Also, there are, excuse me, there are certain pastimes that do not happen in the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan, but they do happen here. So can anybody tell me any example of pastimes that do not happen in Golok Vrindavan, but they happen in the Vrindavan? Huh? No, that's not true. Any examples? Yeah, so my wife is saying stealing of the butter. That doesn't happen in Vrindavan. As a matter of fact,
He's not born.
What is Krishna's age in Golok Vrindavan?
He's not born.
16?
Yeah, so
Always 16.
it's just under 16. So they're known as Nitya Kishore Kishori. They're always that age, somewhere between 15 and 16, which means there's no birth of Krishna there. There's no crawling on his forts there. There's no eating of the mud. There's no being dragged by the calves through urine and cow dung. All those kind of things don't happen there. They only happen here. Right? So that's another difference between material world and the spiritual world. In some ways, the Vrindavan in material world is superior to Vrindavan in the spiritual world. How's that for a shocker? But does everyone understand that point? Because remember, the higher and lower is measured by the quality of pastimes, not by anything else. Okay?
Prabhu, I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Prabhuji, you said that all his Sakha friends, like Madhu Mangal and all, they said it is because of our powers, you got powers, right? And then vice versa. But at the same time, they also had tremendous faith, right, in him, because whenever there was a fire, Krishna just told them, close your eyes, and they immediately did, right?
Correct. So their ability to tease Krishna and fight with Krishna came from their love and trust for Krishna. Ever tried teasing somebody you don't like? Big fight starts. If you tease somebody you love, they both laugh. You both laugh, right? The same thing.
Prabhu, can I ask you something?
Of course. This looks funny.
What?
Oh, that's better. Much better.
I'm standing against the light, I think. Okay. No, Prabhu, this, we were talking of different mellows. This fear of Kamsa, is that also a mellow? Because he was always remembering Krishna, right? In a negative way, though. Would you call that also as one of the?
So as you know, there are 5 primary mellows and 7 secondary mellows.
Secondary mellows. Oh, yeah. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Bhaya was that thing, right?
But remember, like with non-devotees, we don't talk about mellows. The mellows are only for pure devotees.
Okay.
So fear is there, but we don't call it a mellow.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So it's 9:21. I'll try to finish one more chapter, but I don't know if I will be able to, but we'll try, which is the meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva. So when Krishna appeared, that was in the night. So next day, there's huge celebration for the appearance of Lord. Remember, both Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, they were fairly along in their age. They were known as middle-aged people at that time. And they had waited, I don't know how many years to have a child, and none was happening. So after a long wait, so it just increases the pleasure that much more. There was a huge celebration in Vrindavan to celebrate the birth of the Lord. Great fanfare, and Nanda Maharaj gave in charity, I don't know, everybody was there, any present they wanted. He literally gave away millions of cows, hills upon hills of grain, just covered with jewels, and cloth covered with golden embroidery, and you name it. And then the funny thing happened. Some people said, I just want something with silver. So Nanda Maharaj gave to them. As they were walking home, they'll meet somebody on the way, and he'll say, what did you get? Other person says, I got this gold. And this person said, oh, but I asked for silver. And the other guy said, well, you're such a fool. Why would you go for silver when you could get gold? So he'll throw away whatever they had, then back to Nanda Maharaj, said, no, I want some gold. And Maharaj said, that's fine, take it. So a lot of things were scattered all over the village because people said, oh, I can get something better when just back. And then Maharaj was not objecting to any of this, was not stopping anybody, just kept giving. What a great mood he was in. So that function is known as Nandotsav, right? Now, somebody else we know and love was born on Nandotsav day. Who is that? Somebody we know.
Prabhupada?
Yes. So Prabhupada appeared on the day of Nandotsav, one day after Janmashtami. So if you look at your calendar, you will see every year Prabhupada's birthday falls on day after Janmashtami. Okay. Now, in that festival, actually, if you check the calendar, even this year, I think the Janmashtami is on 30th of August, and 31st is Nandotsav, and appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, fast till noon. Okay, anyway, so in that festival, men and women, they decorated themselves very nicely, expensive jewelry. I mean, you can imagine how they dress up in a great function. And the best thing was all men, women, children, they were dancing like crazy. The great ecstasy everybody was feeling. And they were always playing Holi with each other. But in Holi, they were not using color. Rather, they were using yogurt, they were using condensed milk, butter, water, regular milk. They were splashing each other with all that. And Nanda Maharaj was watching everything, and then people went and grabbed him and said, no, you got to dance too. They made him dance with everybody else. Anyway, so after the festival, Nanda Maharaj figured that, listen, enough celebration. I better go make sure that Kansa does not get suspicious of anything. So I better go to Mathura and pay the taxes to Kansa. So he took some local cowherd men and put them in charge of protecting Gokul, Mahavan. And with some other people, he went to Mathura. And he paid his taxes to Kansa. And then it was night time, so he stayed in Mathura that night. And Vasudeva, who was now out of prison, heard that his friend and brother Nanda Maharaj was visiting Mathura to pay his taxes. He went to where Nanda Maharaj was staying at night. And first Vasudeva praised Nanda Maharaj for his good fortune of having two children at home. And he knew that Krishna has accepted Nanda Maharaj as his own father. So clearly both Balaram and Krishna were Vasudeva's children, sons. So he inquired Nanda Maharaj about how they were doing, how those two kids were doing. And Nanda Maharaj told him, everything that was going on in Vrindavan, how the children were having a great time, they were growing together nicely, and all the fun and pleasure that everybody was experiencing in Vrindavan because of their activities. So Vasudeva was very happy, felt very satisfied in his heart, hearing all these things about his two children. But then he expressed his own grief because he said, my own 6 children were killed by Kansa, but I'm so happy that everything's okay in your house. Nanda Maharaj, of course, consoled Vasudeva, saying that, look, it's all destiny. What can you do? And once you understand and accept that it's destiny, then your grief is reduced. So please, you're a very wise person. Accept that the destiny caused all this. It was meant to happen. And they talk further. Now, Vasudeva was, as I said, very, very smart person. So he knew Kansa will cause problems. So he advised Nanda Maharaj, please don't stay too long in Mathura. Tomorrow morning, as soon as possible, return to Vrindavan. Do not linger here. And so Nanda Maharaj left early in the morning for Vrindavan. Okay, 9:27, end of this chapter. The next chapter is killing of demon Putana, but I think that will be a longer discussion. So why don't I stop here and see if there are any questions or comments or corrections or just plain release of frustration at everything I said. So you're welcome to choose any of those options or none of the above, make your own.
None of the above, Prabhu.
I'm sorry?
None of the above.
None of the above, okay. Thank you. Anything else? Any questions? Okay, did I do my thing and put everybody to sleep?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mother.
Thank you.
Everyone is awake, Prabhuji.
Okay, good.
Attentively
Yes,
listening.
we are just immersed in those beautiful pastimes you shared. It was such a wonderful class today, and all the nice questions everybody asked.
Thank you, Nananpu. Thank you, appreciate that.
Prabhuji,
Haji?
for Kali Yuga, we have a Maha Mantra, right? And in other yugas, there were other mantra, right?
Right.
So how for Kali Yuga, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, same way, is there like, which one is the best among Ramayan? Can we compare that way also, Ramayan or Shrimad Bhagavatam? Which one is better, or we both?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
So my question is, I don't know, I didn't put it right way. Is there any recommendation which one to be read in Kali Yuga, or both Ramayan and Shrimad Bhagavatam, both are equal?
They're both supreme personalities of Godhead. And people have their own preference as to which incarnation of Krishna they want to serve. We don't say you are a servant of Ram, so you're lower, and servant of Krishna, so I'm higher. We don't say that because Lord Ram, Lord Krishna are non-different. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that very clearly by showing his Shadbhuj form. His 600 form was what? Ramchandji, Krishnaji, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they are one and the same. And therefore we do not distinguish, and we do not say this is higher level book and this lower level book. We are so low, not just in our mentality, in our qualifications, but also our understanding. We can't even think, conceive of making any comparisons. I think we do well if we can simply read the book once. And the devotees of Lord Ram are just as exalted as devotees of Lord Krishna. Like we know Hanumanji refused to come to meet Krishna. Until Krishna sent the person back saying, tell Lord Ram's waiting. Then only he came. He was not insulting Krishna, who is the source of Lord Ram. But he's simply saying, my Isht is Lord Ram. So for me, it's the highest.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure.
Prabhuji, I always had one doubt. if you can clear that for me. What was the age difference between Balaram and Krishna?
So yes, you're right. There are different answers, but the one that the one that resonates with me is 1 year. And the reason is that they all came in the womb of same mother Devaki. And Lord Balaram was delivered before Krishna came. So it's not a few months.
So, you mentioned that Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva and Devaki Mata, they are eternal parents for Lord Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are eternal parents, then why would they become sad or cry if Krishna leaves? Because even if he leaves, he's going to come back to them. So then why would they cry? Or
So
why
remember,
would they feel sad?
Remember, Yoga Maya makes them forget. Even makes Krishna forget that he's God. Makes Lord Balaram forget he's God. So now they are immersed in whatever role they're playing. Now they have no recollection that we are eternal servants coming from Golok Vrindavan. Yashoda is not thinking that. She doesn't know that. She's been made to forget. Krishna has been made to forget that he's God. We know the story of Lambasur when he picked up Lord Balaram, who's also Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he started to rise in the sky. Bhagavatam says, Lord Balaram was scared for a minute. He says, what's going on? Then suddenly he remembered, look, wait a minute, I'm Supreme Personality of Godhead. Took his fist and went boom on the head. Upper Lambasur broke it into a million pieces. But for a moment he forgot. Right? Krishna forgot so many times, like when there would be thunder in the sky, Krishna would be scared and hug Mother Yashoda's neck so hard. He was saying, protect me. Krishna would cry when he couldn't walk. He couldn't crawl. He was taught by other women how to crawl, how to walk. So he forgot. Right? But he never lost his independence. Yoga Maya still works for him. So he forgot, but when the time came, he remembered. Whether it was to rescue Nanda Maharaj or whether it was to kill a demon, he remembered. And then he forgot again. When the devotees were chastising him, he forgot his God. But when he was talking to God, I'm sorry, Mansi?
So Prabhu, whenever so does it mean that Krishna was also infected by three gunas?
Was affected by?
By three modes of material nature?
No, never. He was influenced by his internal potency, Yoga Maya. He gave order to Yoga Maya, make sure I am influenced too by you, not Mahamaya. That's not possible. Okay. Mahamaya cannot touch him. Okay. But Yoga Maya is very close. Remember, Radharani is Yoga Maya.
Yes.
Subhadra is Yoga Maya. So they are internal potency.
Thank you.
Sure. But because if he doesn't do that, he cannot do the pastimes. How would he get tied by Mother Yashoda if he remembers some God? Right? How would he go and steal butter and be chastised by the gopis if he thought he remembers his God? How would he eat soil and then make all these excuses to Mother Yashoda if he thought he was God? So many. On and on and on, so many. Well, he had to forget, otherwise he could not do the pastimes. Okay, Machi, you're okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Thank you very much.
Sure. Anyone else?
Prabhuji, one question.
Huh?
Prabhuji, like you mentioned, in the spiritual world, Krishna and Radharani are always Nitya Kishore and Kishori.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only form they remain. But when they come in the material world, we see them, we see Krishna as the baby also and all those wonderful, beautiful pastimes. So and like you also rightly mentioned, in the material world, then it becomes so more relishable than it would have been in the spiritual world. So as the devotees, like, every time they say that the destination is to go to Golok Vrindavan, back to Godhead, but does the spiritual world not miss few rasas which are present in the material world when Krishna comes here?
Yes, it does. So that's why the eternal devotees have hope, or always hope, that when Krishna goes to material world, they'll go with him. So they can enjoy those mellows.
Because specifically when Damodar Ashtakam comes, that prayer is so beautiful that, I'm not sure if the same kind of bhav happens in the spiritual world as well. That happens in material world.
Well, that's right, doesn't happen in the spiritual world. That's exactly right. It doesn't get tied by Mother Yashoda. But recognizing the specialness, if there's a word like that, of that whole pastime, how does the Damodar Ashtakam start? What is the first line of Damodar Ashtakam?
Namami Ishwaram Satchidananda Rupam.
Yes, exactly. Namami Ishwaram Satchidananda Rupam. Saying this is no ordinary baby we're talking about. Ordinary babies get tied, hit, beaten, grounded all the time. Millions of them every day. Nobody ever talks about them. What's so special about that? But when that baby is Supreme Personality of God, there's something special. That's why Satyavat Muni starts with that we're not talking about the ordinary baby. This is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Controller. His form is Sat Chidananam. It's that baby who got tied up, and that's very special. Right? So very special pastimes of the Lord, which do not happen in the spiritual, but they happen here. That's why I was saying, Bhaumi Vrindavan, Vrindavan in the material world is superior in quality to Vrindavan in the spiritual world. Okay. Anything else? All right. If nothing else, then I will take your leave. I want to thank you all.
Good job. I want to say good job, Ashok Krishna bro, with the muting service.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. You did a great job. Actually, yeah, you did. It's wonderful. Wonderful.